How do you advocate for yourself in a system that isn't set up to care about you as a patient as much as it cares about how much you can pay for medical care? Hello. My name is Siobhan, if this is your first time here. And if you've been here before, welcome back. This is not my typical setup for videos on this channel. I have been streaming over on Twitch, and this is my Twitch streaming setup. I'm just going to kind of jump right into it because it's been over a year since I've been here, and I've done a lot of sleeping during that time. And the video that has brought me back to this channel at this time is comments from people on my video about chronic fatigue and narcolepsy type 2. So I'm going to talk about advocating for yourself with your doctor. It's something, especially if you are somebody who doesn't like conflict, it will feel like conflict, even if you never have to actually talk to the doctor about it. Because you kind of have to break up with your doctor and see a new doctor if the doctor that you're going to just isn't willing to hear what you have to say. Know that if your body is telling you something different than what the doctor is telling you, and they aren't listening, that it is okay to say, you know what, I need to see somebody else. And at least in the American healthcare system, that's something that you can do on your own. It's one of the very, very few benefits of the American healthcare system. You have to find somebody who will take whatever insurance you're using if you're using insurance, but you can make that switch on your own. In other healthcare systems, I don't know how that works. It may require actually talking to the doctor and saying, you're not the right doctor for me, and going to a different doctor. One of the things that was brought up was that a person who is really suffering with what seems to be symptoms of chronic fatigue continued to be told by their doctor that they were depressed. I cannot tell you how many times I was told I was depressed when I wasn't depressed. I have issues with chronic depression. Like, that is something that I personally have. But that doesn't mean that I'm always depressed. And so when I wasn't feeling depressed and I was told that my issues were because I was depressed, that was very, very depressing. And then I was depressed. Thing is, that is a doctor looking at something backwards, because one of the symptoms of depression is sleeping all the time. And while it's true that sleeping all the time can cause some depression because you feel like you're missing out on things, that's situational depression, and it's not necessarily a symptom of the sleeping. So one of the first things that I would say is insist to the doctor, it's not depression. I don't have the other symptoms for depression. I don't feel depressed. It is okay to say, no, that is not the problem here. Keep looking. My current general practitioner, who is amazing, I think I say that every time I talk about her. She is fantastic. The very first time I went to see her, the very first time, and that doesn't mean that you can't do this if you already have a doctor. I told her, I have a background of doctors not hearing what I'm saying. I have had doctors who made me feel very rushed. I understand that you have other patients and that you are typically only given maybe 15 minutes with a patient to figure out what's wrong. And I may sometimes need more than that. And I need to know that I'm not the only one here trying to figure out what is wrong with me. I need to know that you are also going to be able to take the time that I need. And If that means that I need to book 2 appointments back to back, let me know now so that I can make sure that I have that time. If there's something that I need to do to make sure that I have that time with you, let me know what I need to do, because I need you to be able to do your job. And unfortunately, the way things are set up in pretty much any healthcare system that I've looked into ever, doctors aren't really, unless they are a specialist, general practitioners aren't really given the time that they need to be able to look into things, because their job is to figure out the basics of what's wrong. And if it's something deeper, send you to somebody who has a specialty in that. And that comes to my next thing. There are sleep specialists. Their entire job is to figure out why you're tired all the time and why you sleep all the time. And guess what? Like all specialists, they're expensive as hell. Like, why? Why does medical care have to be so expensive? I am in mountains of medical debt that I will be in for the rest of my life. I'm never going to be able to pay off all the debt that I have, especially with student loans and medical. I will be in debt forever. However, I will take that debt over not knowing and not being able to do anything about my health. I'm not recommending that people go into debt. I feel like I just recommended that people go into debt to figure out what is wrong with their health. It's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that sometimes you have to just bite the bullet. In my case, it was one of those times. There were some very different experiences in terms of the messages that were left in the comments. And one of those experiences really demonstrated or said, I don't suffer from depression. That's not my problem. And another experience clearly showed signs of depression in the way that it was written. And that doesn't mean that those don't both stem from the same place. So I would say to the mother who feels like maybe the eternal sleep would be the way to go, it's not. I also have those moments still, and I try to, this is a little morbid, so trigger warning. The thing that works for me is to think about all of the work that somebody would have to do to clean up my stuff and clear out my things and like take care of sort of the post-mortem situation that leaves. That is what usually, as strange as it sounds, is what gets me through that moment. And sometimes that moment is longer than a moment, but it's one of the things that usually stops me. Also, I can usually get to a place where I can think of a time, sometimes very recent, sometimes a while ago, where something happened that I enjoyed and know that I would have missed out on that moment had I taken the eternal sleep the first time I ever thought about it. I started having those thoughts at a very, very young age, like as a child, young age. So just know that that's not the answer ever. That's never the answer. And there are people who care about you. And please, please, if you are ever having those kinds of thoughts, reach out to a friend, a loved one. There are hotlines. I'll make sure that I leave the hotline down below for North America. If I can find them for other places, I will leave those as well. A lot of times you can actually chat now or do it by text message For those of us who, like me, don't like to talk on the telephone because that just gives me a whole other level of anxiety, bring that up to your doctor. Also, never, ever, ever be afraid to tell your doctor everything. I usually sit down and try to write down everything that is bothering me about my health before I go see my doctor, which I'm sure she loves when I show up with a laundry list of things that are wrong. And a lot of times, because of the way the healthcare system is set up, I will have to make like 4 follow-up visits to be able to talk about some of the things, but she will always try to address them from like what's bothering me most to what's bothering me least. I would find that I would get into a doctor's office and not remember. Like now I'm just having a conversation with a person and I'm fine. I don't like it's I'm okay. There's nothing. No, I get tired sometimes. I sleep a lot. Yep. And I wouldn't mention that I sleep a lot and I have muscle spasms in my back and I have pain all the time. That when I say I sleep a lot, that I mean that I can't physically keep my eyes open when I've only been awake for 4 hours and had plenty of sleep the night before, usually far more than the average amount of sleep. And that all of the caffeine in the world doesn't seem to keep that from happening. So writing down those specifics helps. Also, a lot of doctors have email now. Before I go to see her, I will send an email with things that I don't know if we'll have time to actually talk about or that I think are really important and I might not be able to talk about in depth, so that she can go in with that information already. I do not make it a chatty email. It is very like, hey, these are symptoms and issues that I am having. This is when I'm having them. Like I just try to give as much factual information as possible so that she already has that in her toolbox when she walks in for what is going to be a set amount of time that she has with me. If you're not able to do email, again, write it down, take everything with you, take it. So I usually start out with a really crummy list of things, like just scribbled down. I try to make it look nice, particularly if I'm going to a new doctor for the first time, so that I can give that to them. Like I make sure that I have a copy that I can keep for myself, and then I make a copy for them so that I can be like, hey, put this with my file. There are doctors who will say, we do everything electronically. Okay, well, I'm more than happy to take a photo of this with my phone and send it to your doctor email, and you can attach it electronically. Don't feel like, well, I must not actually be experiencing this because this doctor doesn't seem to think it's real. Don't give up because they don't want to keep going. There are so many things that we still don't know about the human body. And even if you're experiencing what seems like the exact same symptoms as me, you might have something completely different that is going on in your body. And it is the doctor's job to figure out what that is. That is why they chose their profession, hopefully. And they chose to be there. They chose to be a doctor. They chose to be in a profession where their job is to help you figure out how to live your best life. That is the goal of the doctor, to keep you happy and healthy. Happy is part of that. Not to send you off with whatever is the quickest fix. And sometimes it will not be a quick fix. Sometimes you will have to go through a lot of steps and jump through a lot of hoops. And sometimes it takes a while, especially I think one of the hardest things for me was depression medication, because the right medication for me is something that doesn't start working for 30 days. So I had to take it every day for 30 days. And for the first, I would say 20 days, there was no effect. Nothing. I did not notice a difference. And pushing through that was so difficult. So just don't get discouraged, and know that whatever is going on in your body, that it does not make you a bad person. It doesn't make you a bad mother. It doesn't make you a bad partner. It might make you a bad employee. I know that mine certainly made me a terrible employee at times. But that's neither here nor there. It didn't make me a terrible employee inherently. It made me a terrible employee because I didn't have the energy to keep up with what I needed to do. So just know that the things that matter, it's not going to change who you are. And in the end, it might turn out that whatever is wrong with you can't really be fixed in any sort of easy way. And in my case, the way to correct me sleeping all the time is to be on stimulants, which makes me feel awful when I'm awake. So I don't do it. I drink a lot of caffeine, which is a stimulant, but caffeine is not nearly as extreme as what they give you in prescription form. So I'm trying to forge my own path and figure out a way in life to really enjoy the time that I am awake, and to really let myself sleep when I need to sleep so that I can enjoy that time. That is really damn difficult, because financially, that is not how life is set up. And so I'm working through those things currently, both mentally and logistically. And yeah, I hope that I have not just rambled on and said nothing for however long I've been recording. I wanted to give some advice about self-advocating. Not even advice so much as encouragement. I wanted to give encouragement to advocate for yourself, because nobody is going to advocate for you as well as you can advocate for yourself. You can have a partner who is absolutely doting and loves you. They can't advocate what you are experiencing in your body. They can say, this is what I see from the outside. Oh, also that with the notes, ask people around you, hey, what have you noticed that I complain about? What have you noticed about me that seems different from other people? Because there are a lot of things that I might miss because I've just gotten used to it that someone else will notice. Ultimately, you're the only person who knows what's going on in your body. You're the only person who can say, no, this isn't right for me. You're the only person who can really stand up for yourself. And it's very often not easy. It's very often not comfortable. And it does usually require taking a deep breath and being a little confrontational. And a good doctor is going to hear you, they're going to see you, and they're going to be on your side. The healthcare system might not always be on your side, but a good doctor will be. This is going to be a really long video, probably, of me just saying advocate 8 bajillion times. I will be having some beauty stuff coming up on this channel. Maybe I have felt so uninspired, probably because I don't leave my house hardly ever. But I also would really like to use some of the makeup that I have. And I do my makeup sometimes and I miss it. I've thought about doing makeup streams. If that's something that you would be interested in, let me know. Otherwise, the place to find me most of the time is over on Twitch. Or Discord is also a really great place. I'll leave the Discord link too. If you're not familiar with Discord, when I first started using Discord, it was so confusing. It's kind of like forums, I guess. If you use it, you'll figure it out and it won't be intimidating anymore. That's all I can say. But Discord is basically the way, like they call them channels, which I think is what really confused me the most. But it's just different like conversation forums. So there are a lot of like game related things in my Discord, but also there is one that is just about mental health. So if you want to go in there and talk about your mental health, totally fine to do that. And yeah, it's a good place to maybe find other people who are experiencing some of the things you are, or maybe find some encouragement, or if you are still in lockdown, or in my case, still afraid to go out into the world because people don't want to get vaccinated, then you can find some friends in there who will just be happy to talk online. And hopefully I will see you either in the comments down below or over on Twitch, and we can have some discussions and we can have some fun times. Currently, I've been playing Life is Strange, which is a strange game. I'm going to be playing Life is Strange 2 next. So if you have any interest in that, all right. I'm just rambling now because I feel like I am actually talking to a person, which I don't get to do much of these days. And I appreciate you. If you are here still listening to me at this point, you are a true friend. And I just thank you. Thank you for still being here. I hope that you are having a wonderful morning, afternoon, or evening, wherever you are.